Imagine this. You're swiping right, hoping to find that perfect match. But what if that swipe leads you down a path of chilling scares and true horror stories? Welcome to Scarier Things, where we delve into the disturbing world of online dating gone wrong. In today's episode, we're bringing you 5 horrific Tinder matches gone horribly wrong. These are not just scary stories. These are true scary stories. Stories that will make you think twice before you swipe right again. From the true stalker who wouldn't take no for an answer, to the seemingly perfect match with a dark secret, these scary true stories will send shivers down your spine. So buckle up, because we're about to take you on a journey through the disturbing world of horror stories that are all too real. Remember, these are not just stories. These are true horror stories. Number 1. This is a true horror story about a 23-year-old woman named Marissa who had a disturbing encounter on Tinder. She matched with a man named Luke, who claimed to be 25 and living in her town. They hit it off and exchanged numbers, discussing their shared interests in music and sports. The conversation soon took a more intimate turn, as both Marissa and Luke were looking for casual encounters. Luke invited Marissa to his house, conveniently located within walking distance from her place. However, he only provided his address after learning her location. Before agreeing to meet, Marissa insisted on a phone call. Luke sounded like a regular young man, and they shared a few laughs, which put Marissa at ease. Marissa decided to scope out Luke's house before their meeting. She noticed 2 cars in the driveway, and one parked in front, all with their lights off. This was a red flag, as it didn't seem like a house where a guy lived alone. She texted Luke to let him know she was close, and he asked her to walk slowly as he was not ready yet. As Marissa was slowly making her way back home, she noticed a white van without headlights approaching from behind. She hid behind a house and watched as the van parked a few houses away from Luke's address. No one got out of the van, and it just sat there. Then, she received a text from Luke saying he was ready and asked her to let him know when she was on his block. Feeling a sense of dread, Marissa started running back home, staying close to the houses for safety. She blocked Luke's number and reported his Tinder profile. To be extra cautious, Marissa and her mother visited the address Luke had given, but the woman who answered the door denied having any sons. Marissa and her mother reported the incident to the police so they could be aware of it and link any future reports to it. Thanks to Marissa's caution, she narrowly avoided what could have been a true stalker situation, making this one of those scary true stories that serve as a chilling reminder of the dangers lurking in the world of online dating. This true scary story is a chilling scare and a reminder to always be cautious. Let's make this a best practice. Number 2. This is a true horror story about a man named Chaz who had a disturbing encounter with a Tinder match. The match claimed to be 2 girls who found Chaz attractive. They exchanged messages, with the girls suggesting they meet at a park late at night since their parents were home. Despite the odd request, Chaz agreed to meet them. Upon reaching the park, Chaz messaged the girls, but received no response. He was left alone in the park, on a deserted dirt path. At this point, Chaz realized he had been deceived, but he wasn't sure if it was a prank or a trap. He then began to hear noises in the woods, indicating he was being watched. Fearing for his safety, he started recording with his phone for protection. The footage he captured was part of the scary true stories that one often hears about. As he pointed his light into the woods, he saw someone emerge and start chasing him. Chaz stopped recording, turned off his flashlight, and ran into the woods to hide. He resumed recording once he thought he had lost the person. Chaz managed to escape unharmed and made it back to his car. He tried reporting the profile to Tinder, but they were unable to find any profiles matching the description or pictures. Chaz's decision to enter a suspicious situation like this was unwise. The refusal of the other profiles to give their number and the suggestion to meet in a park by the woods at night were major red flags that this was some kind of trap. Chaz was fortunate to have escaped, making this one of those true scary stories that serve as a chilling reminder of the dangers lurking in the world of online dating. This true stalker story is a chilling scare and a reminder to always be cautious. Let's make this a best practice. Number 3. This is a true horror story that was shared with me, not by the person who experienced it, but by her friend Maddie. The tale revolves around a Tinder profile named Invincibles, which was allegedly run by a duo, including a woman named Chelsea. They were offering to pay someone to kick a man, shown in the profile picture in his groin. Maddie, a friend of mine, came across this profile on Tinder. The account promised a payment of $50 to $100 for anyone willing to kick a man in the groin. Given the financial strain of the pandemic, Maddie, out of curiosity and need, swiped right. The account responded quickly, mentioning that several people, including a woman named Chelsea, were involved in this. However, the existence of these people remains a mystery to this day. We reside in a small town in Pennsylvania, and this account was located in Clearfield, a few towns over. Maddie was understandably skeptical, so she asked me to accompany her for safety. The account claimed that this was for a YouTube video, and that the man to be kicked had lost a bet at a bar a few weekends prior. I agreed to go with Maddie, feeling confident that I could protect her if things went awry. The next day, we headed towards Clearfield. The address provided by the account led us to a random hotel in Clearfield, which was already a bit unsettling. Maddie had never mentioned that she would be bringing someone along. We waited at the hotel for about an hour until the person messaged us that they would be late. After a while, they suggested we come straight to their house instead. Feeling a bit uneasy but confident that I could protect Maddie, we headed to the guy's house. Upon arrival, we were relieved to see a large, normal-looking house next to the main road. However, a closer look revealed a creepy shed behind the house with an even creepier man peeking out from the shed's door. Maddie parked in front of the shed and asked me to wait in the car. The man emerged from the shed, looking creepier than before. He was thin with long hair and seemed nervous and twitchy, nothing like the man in the Tinder profile. Maddie asked him if it was okay that she had brought a friend along, and his expression dropped, raising another red flag. I followed Maddie into the shed, which was filthy and cluttered with random items and boxes. The man, who seemed to be an addict, was setting up his laptop to record the event. During our awkward small talk, I noticed that he had Snapchat installed on his computer, which was how Chelsea was messaging us. This made me suspect that he was Chelsea and was using another device to make it seem like he was someone else. After setting up the recording, he seemed angry and tense, as if he hadn't expected to be kicked in the groin that day. He asked us what our plans were for the evening, and if we smoked weed. We both quickly denied, despite the fact that we do smoke. Maddie collected the cash from him, and we left. While this might not seem off to a regular person, I can't help but feel that if I hadn't been there, something bad would have happened. After we left, Maddie mentioned that Chelsea had offered to rent a hotel room and buy her pizza before we got there. I don't like to think about what would have happened if I hadn't been there, but deep down, I know that something more malicious had been planned. Based on the recounting of this event, it's safe to assume that the man in the picture wasn't the same guy that they met in the shed, and that Chelsea didn't exist. Maddie and I were smart to go into the situation together, as there's always more safety in numbers. This true stalker story serves as a chilling reminder of the disturbing and scary true stories that can unfold in the world of online dating. It's one of those true scary stories that sends chilling scares down your spine and makes you rethink your safety practices. It's one of those horror stories that stays with you, reminding you to always be cautious. Let's make this a best practice. Number 4. In the realm of true crime, there are tales that are disturbing and chilling. This is one of those scary true stories that will send shivers down your spine. It's a true horror story that unfolded in a seemingly ordinary setting, involving a true stalker named Gable. Gable had an unusual habit of recording his dates with various women. During one such date, Rena, his companion, became increasingly aggressive towards him. As the night wore on, Gable can be heard on the recording refusing to let her leave. Rena's terrified screams for help were silenced when he locked her outside on the balcony. At one point in the recording, Gable can allegedly be heard choking Rena before locking her outside. Both Gable and Rena were heavily intoxicated, with Rena sounding much more inebriated than Gable. In her drunken state, Rena thought her only escape would be to attempt to climb down the building. Tragically, this resulted in her falling from the balcony to her death. Gable, who was 28 at the time, was arrested for her death, but was ultimately acquitted of all charges. The prosecution claimed that Gable locked Rena on his balcony following a heated argument, leading her to attempt an escape and subsequently fall to her death. Gable's defense team argued that Rena was extremely intoxicated and had been acting irrationally before her tragic fall. An audio recording of Gable's phone call with his father right after the incident was eventually released. In it, Gable can be heard telling his father that things had become violent between him and Rena and that he locked her on his balcony. However, he insisted that he did not push her. According to a downstairs neighbor, loud arguments with women could often be heard from Gable's apartment, suggesting that this kind of behavior was a regular occurrence for him. Many people believe that Gable murdered Rena, and there was public outrage when Gable was acquitted. This true horror story serves as a stark reminder of the dangers that can lurk in the shadows, even in seemingly ordinary settings. It's a chilling tale that fits right into the genre of scary true stories and true crime. It's a narrative that could easily find its place on Reddit under scary stories or horror stories, serving as a cautionary tale for others. Number 5. In the realm of true crime, there are some disturbing tales that stand out. This is one of those scary true stories that send chilling scares down your spine. It's a true horror story that unfolded in Sydney, Australia, involving a true stalker. Jovi Pill, a 39-year-old nurse, was looking forward to a fresh start after her divorce from Alexander Villaluna. She was a mother of 4 and had moved from the Philippines to Auckland, New Zealand, for her nursing training before settling in Sydney. Her optimism was evident in her Facebook posts, where she shared about the new beginnings and the love she received from her children and secret admirers. In March 2016, Jovi turned to Tinder in search of companionship. She matched with Keith Collins, a 53-year-old businessman, and they decided to meet for a date. On March 30, 2016, their date at a Korean barbecue restaurant took a horrifying turn. Alexander, Jovi's ex-husband, appeared unexpectedly. He confronted Keith, asking him why he was with his wife. Despite Keith's explanation that they were just having dinner, Alexander launched a brutal attack. In a shocking display of violence, Alexander stabbed Keith multiple times before turning his attention to Jovi. He stabbed her twice before calmly walking out of the restaurant. Jovi managed to escape and was later taken to the hospital. She survived the attack, but Keith did not. Alexander had a history of abusive behavior. Jovi had left him 2 years before the incident and had even obtained a restraining order against him. Despite this, Alexander had threatened to kill her if she ever started dating another man. His disturbing actions that night proved he was a true stalker. In September 2017, Alexander pleaded guilty to murder. He showed no remorse, claiming he was still angry about what had happened to him. He even suggested that Jovi would have been happy to have been killed by him. The judge sentenced him to 40 years in prison, with a minimum of 30 years before he could apply for parole. This true horror story serves as a stark reminder of the dangers that can lurk in the shadows, even when one is simply trying to move on and start anew. It's a chilling tale that fits right into the genre of scary true stories and true crime. It's a narrative that could easily find its place on Reddit under scary stories or horror stories, serving as a cautionary tale for others.